So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your family?
So I'm Courtney Kirk,
And I'm Howard Kirk.
and we have been married for just over 30 years. We have 4 grown children who are out of the house on their own now. We met at the church in Georgetown back right during high school and got married at the old church building, and
Yeah, got
we've been going
married.
ever since.
Got married on Austin Avenue, Church of Christ. So um, we've been married, like you said, for about 30 years, and the first 20 years were pretty rough. In all honesty, we were pretty passionate. We loved hard, but we fought harder. The last decade has been really, really good.
Yes.
So
Oh, excellent. Well, now I understand that you now are foster parents. So how many years have you done that for, and how many kids have you fostered so far?
So we got licensed in August of 2021, and since that time we have had 22 children come in and out of our home. 4 of those were just short-term respite care, and the other were all from 6 months to one going just over a year that's been with us.
And how did you make that decision to become foster parents?
So, so this has been on her heart and in her cards for a long time. Like you could see this coming. If you had met me 10 years ago, you would never believe that I would be involved in this, and you sure wouldn't believe I'd be passionate about it. I wasn't a very hospitable guy at all. Just that wasn't my makeup. As you said in the sermon last Sunday, my home was my castle. I wanted it to be my private space. It was perfect and organized, and it was mine. And I was so excited about my 4 kids leaving, like I was ready. But my story is a great example of why you need to be involved with a family, with a community of believers. Courtney's family was a great example. They always had somebody staying with them for some reason. And then the last decade, we went to the Leander Church of Christ, and we were very involved there. And that group of believers just really worked on me, especially. And it is their example of having people in their homes all the time and long-term guests that just turned me into a more hospitable guy. And before I knew it, I looked up and we were having people over all the time, and we were having guests stay overnight, and I was like, what just happened? So,
Yeah. And then foster care.
and then foster care. So how you saw it in October?
So yeah, in October of, I guess, 2021, just whenever you're watching shows, when you see commercials, foster kids would always be coming up and never in a positive light. So got me to thinking and wondering what the story was about foster kids. So I started doing some research and saw how many kids were sleeping in hotels and in offices, so what this huge need was. So I mentioned this to Howard one day, not thinking he would be on board with fostering, but I'm sharing with him what I've learned, and he said, well, then why aren't we doing it? What?
So we had bought a house in 2021 that had 6 bedrooms, and our theory is that there's a good chance that all 4 of these kids are going to bounce back. And so we were scared to death, and I was like, they got to have their own space. And so we're sitting there, and she mentions this to me in passing, and I had seen several commercials on KVUE where it was like the Sally Struthers commercial for pets, except it was kids. And I was like, kept looking at it and going, man, that seems to be a real thing, and we've got empty bedrooms. So when she brought it up, I was like, I guess we ought to give that a shot.
Well, what has been the blessings and the challenges of being a foster parent?
Go ahead.
Oh, is that mine?
Yeah, go ahead on that one.
Okay, so the blessings are, one, it's been a constant reminder that it's just not about you. I mean,
Right.
you have to put the kids first, even more so than you do with your own children. And it's a constant reminder that time is short. You know, with your own children, you have them and they're there, and you just kind of take it for granted. They're always going to be there. You just kind of go with it. But with these foster kids, you don't know how long you're going to have them. And so you've got to have as much impact as you possibly can, as fast as you can.
In that little bitty window.
In that little bitty window, or yeah, I mean, the most we've had is a year. And they're coming from, I mean, every single one of them has been neglected, has dealt with food shortages. Another big benefit, blessing, has been that we have a much deeper understanding of the destructive effects of poverty, of social injustice, and really of systemic racism. I mean, we just did not understand it until we started fostering and getting involved. Another big blessing has been we had no idea that we would have the opportunity to speak into the actual families and the extended families past the children. But I'll let Courtney speak to this a little bit, because she's.
Yeah, that has been one of the most rewarding pieces of all of this, is that when you get started, you're a little hesitant to meet the birth parents, the biological family, because you're thinking, your kids are removed. They're removed for a reason, and you've done something you shouldn't have done. But then you start getting to know them, and you learn that, hey, they're actually good people. A lot of them are coming from poverty. A lot of them were in the system themselves as children, and so they don't necessarily know how to parent. They know how to get out of the situation that they're in. And so when you get to meet them and you learn their stories, you see them as real people that need help. And the biggest thing, support. They have no support system. So when you start helping, you become friends. They let you stay in the kids' lives, so you get to watch them grow. I get to go see one of the families again this weekend. I'm excited, or next weekend.
So when the kids leave, Courtney's usually formed a relationship with the mom. Just almost always, and that's another really sad thing, is we haven't had one child yet of the 22 that the dad's actually involved. Right. It's been heartbreaking.
It's hard, yeah.
But when the kids leave, we're always trying to put the kids first, and so Courtney tells the parents, if you need anything at all, just let us know. And so it's not uncommon for them to come back to us and go, hey, our food SNAP is held up, and we need a little bit of help, so we'll send them a food cart or something. And so Courtney has helped this one parent a couple of times, and we get the most interesting feedback. I'll let you tell it, because you got it.
One of our earlier placements that we still talk to and get to see, it was very interesting when, after helping her several times and getting together just to meet and see the kids again, she mentioned that her family, seeing how we had stepped in and helped her and watching how that help to her benefited her, they started stepping in and helping. So before, everybody backs out because they're thinking, oh, you're just taking. But they saw an example of help, and now she's got more support, her family support, and their parents talk to me now. I have one mom that'll get on the phone, and the mom's mom will talk to me, and I love it. It's good to see.
So another huge blessing is I can't explain how much deeper our faith is, because unfortunately we're two kind of control freaks. We really kind of are. We like to control our environment. I get sweaty palms if I go north of Dallas, south of San Antonio. Like, I like to control my setting, but we're not in control with these kids. We don't even know when they're leaving. So we have to believe that God is in control. We have to put real faith in the fact that He has put the authorities in place for a reason, and that they are going to accomplish God's will. And then we have to believe that God cares for these children, and even after we're not involved, that He is going to provide and protect for them.
That's probably the hardest part of everything.
And then
yes.
The last huge blessing is, it's just been, I was telling Courtney, this is really interesting to me. I'm realizing we're really living our faith. So I've hung my hat on Matthew 25 for a long time now, that like, Jesus says, this is how I'm going to separate you guys, and this is how I'm going to determine eternal life. And I went to Courtney yesterday and I said, hey, I was preparing for talking on Sunday, and do you realize in Matthew 25, He says, I was hungry, I was thirsty, you invited a stranger in, you clothed me, you cared for the sick, you visited in prison. And do you realize that right now, with the 3 kids we have, we are fulfilling all 6 of those? One of the moms of the children is in prison right now. And so Courtney has a visit with that mom every Saturday. And so I was just like, holy cow, I didn't even realize this, and we're fulfilling these 6. So that's the blessing side.
Well, there was one more blessing that I think was a really big deal with the kids. With the kids, especially the ones that are 5 to 10, they get so excited about going to Bible class. They look forward to their Bible story at bedtime and their prayer time. And giving them, they find hope. They have hope when you say those prayers with them and pray for their parents so that they can go back soon. And so they're not crying at night. They actually believe, just they'll ask you, does God really answer prayers? And you can talk about that. And they really believe it, and you see it. And they ask all kinds of questions about the scripture. And seeing that, I think that's a blessing. That's exciting.
So challenges. Schedules are hectic. The house is destroyed daily. And it's loud. It's really loud all the time.
Cars zooming through the downstairs, and
it's crazy. And our time is not our own. Children, especially, we really like to do, from birth to 10 years old, and they're just really needy at that age, right? And so there's someone always in your face, always needing something, and these kids need a lot of attention. And then when you're involved in the foster care system, there's a lot of visits. There's a lot of home visits. There's a lot of required visits to doctors, dentists, play therapy, and stuff. So we're really not in control of our schedules. There's also some really weird interactions. One is with the state representatives. And I'll give you just one example is the second or third placement we had. We get this call that says, hey, we've got 2 kids for you, and the mom just had a third one. Can you pick it up from the hospital?
Yes.
And we weren't even thinking we were going to have newborn babies at this point. And then we get him home. I start to fall in love with him immediately. But then he gets RSV, and he goes into NICU.
Yes, I got to spend a couple of nights at the hospital with
Yeah,
him.
at 3 months old.
Yeah,
But anytime a child has an emergency, that immediately triggers an investigation. So I get this state investigator at my house. And I have to tell you, state workers that we've dealt with, they're wonderful.
They're
These people
phenomenal.
work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
And they care.
And they don't make a lot of money, and they do everything they possibly can. But so I have this state investigator, this young lady sitting across from me, and she says, now, let's go ahead and get started. How do you discipline a 3-month-old?
How do you discipline him?
Do what? What do you mean? She said, that was the right answer. You'd be surprised how often we get a different answer. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Baby.
I mean, it's horrible. But, and then we get some weird things from friends and family on occasion. Overall, friends and family have been super
Very
supportive. People have brought us clothes and all kinds of stuff. It's
And
been
are always there for the kids' birthdays and Christmases.
yeah,
It's
and
overwhelming.
they have stepped up and treated them like family. But every once in a while, you get that weird comment like, so you just had these kids leave. Are you going to do it again? Like, yeah, there's still a huge need. We're definitely going to do it again. Well, are you sure you've taken enough time off? Because y'all really need to recover. Yeah, I'd love to, but there's still a huge need, and we need to get this going again. So there's been some weird interactions. And then the last one that I did not expect at all, there's been some guilt involved that's been a challenge. You're going to have to talk for me.
Okay. So when we raise our children, there's a lot of things that we didn't know that we know now, that we would have done it very differently with our children. And now that we've brought these other children into our family, we're a lot more patient. We just do a much better job with them.
Yeah, so we kind of shorted our kids. So even
But they
this,
all seem to understand. They're okay.
so one of our daughters is watching the kids this morning. I just mentioned to her on the way out, hey, I'm sorry again, you didn't get the best of me. So,
They all laugh.
And then the other thing is I'm 50 years old. I've been married 30 years, and we have a great marriage. I'm pretty strong in my profession. I know what I'm doing these days. The last few years, I've taught a lot of adult Bible classes, and so I kind of feel like I've got the faith thing kind of going to a certain extent. These kids have reminded me that I still got a whole lot to work on, that I am not as mature as I thought I was, that I am still kind of a selfish, rebellious little boy on a lot of occasions.
I would have told you that.
Well, so what would you say after somebody has heard this? What would you say to someone who is feeling a nudge from God to get more involved in helping children in the community? What would you say to them?
Do it.
So know that there's a lot of opportunities to help that do not include having to take kids into your house right off the bat. So that's the first thing. But if you are feeling that urge to have children in your home, we'd say babysit or do respite care first. That's going to give you a good sampling of some of the behaviors and the things you're going to deal with.
And it's just it could be a few hours to a couple of days.
Yeah, and it's a great way to tiptoe in. And then just know that to do the licensing process is about 60 to 90 days. But at the end of the day, it's just some regulations and hurdles you've got to jump through. And then it's only like 20 hours of training. So,
That's
and
very
it's all
easy.
video-based training. It's real easy to do. And where I'm going with this is we've only had one child that's been with us for over a year to this point. So at most, it's probably a 1-year commitment. So it's something you can try. And if it's just not your cup of tea, then you can back out of it. And there's no harm, no foul. Just don't back out in the middle of having a kid,
Right.
you know?
Right. And there's plenty of support
And
during
then
that time.
yeah, and we will tell you that, especially being part of a church family, like this church has been great. I mean, Lauren, just the minute she saw the kids, both times,
Yeah.
new set, she just grabs them up and grabs them
Loves
in,
on
and then
them, yep.
making sure to say goodbye to them, and just we've had nothing but great support. On actually fostering, our experience has been like a lot of things in Christianity. It's not complex, it's not complicated, but it's difficult. And so you just have to kind of keep the basics and put the kids first. You have to give them your full attention and interact with them constantly, because the biggest thing that all these kids have been missing is interaction with caring adults.
And a
and
lot of
that's-
that, you see that when so many of these kids come to you and they can't speak correctly. Like some of these kids will come in at 3 years old and they can only speak a couple of words. It's very interesting. But after they're in your home for 4 to 6 months, they're on level where they need to be. They just need interacted with.
Yeah, it's interesting. The state evaluators always come in and they're like, oh, these kids need speech therapy. And we're like,
Not yet.
give it 90 days and let's see what happens. Because usually when you start interacting with them, it changes. The other thing that'll really surprise you, and this is something that I did not expect at all, but we learned with our very first long-term placement that young children, especially when they're neglected, what's happened is a lot of times all the things that kids get frustrated doing, putting blocks together, tying shoes, turning on a light that's just a hair too high, all those things, nobody's helped them with. And they don't know how to say, help me.
So they scream, they throw a tantrum, and they just throw a fit. You're like, what's going on? But after a month or so of consistently answering that need, when it's there, you drop everything, and you go and consistently answer that need, it changes. They stop and they learn to ask for help.
But they just haven't been helped. It's
Yep.
really sad. Give them structure. That's the biggest thing. Like, give them a bedtime. Let them know when we're getting up in the morning. Let them know that there's going to be food. That's a huge deal. Most of them have
Almost
suffered from
everyone.
food shortages. And then you just can't love on them enough. That's because you only have them from a short term. You just build it into your brain that there is no amount of love that you can put on them that's too much, because you don't know what they're going to get when they leave your home.
So you will get too attached. You will.
Yeah. So
And that's good.
and then we have really started making a huge focus on building and anchoring their identity in God as quickly as we can. And the reason for that,
Were you gonna tell
Just
examples or?
short example.
So we've had a couple of different kids that'll actually come in and tell you that God should never have made me. I wish I had never been born. I'm bad. I'm not going to get to live with God. So these
At 4
kids,
years old.
4, 5, 6 years old, they're saying this. So you can only imagine the things that they're hearing at home when they come believing this. And so when you start to change that and show them that, no, you're good. You made a bad choice, but you're good, and let's work with you. It actually changes their whole makeup. They change their demeanor, and some of them are like, I made good choices today. Or one will say, I made a bad choice, but I'll do better. That's great. So they're learning, and they're learning they are good.
And so if somebody wants to get involved, like steps,
Yes.
first of all,
Back to the point.
there is an ongoing critical need. The state's currently saying they're 1,800 beds short for children. And Courtney and I are super passionate about this. So if somebody needs direction, if somebody needs help, if they
Anything.
need questions answered, you just tell us when. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. We host people in our house every Sunday for lunch. we will make ourselves available, and we'll give you the information for a phone number that is specifically for foster stuff that goes to Courtney.
Yep.
We'll give you a website, and then we were talking about it on the way over here. We're even going to put an appointment scheduler on there, so you just tell us when you're available and when you want to do.
And
We'll
be
either
there. Yep.
we'll either feed you at our home or buy you. Like just
Yep.
just
Or if
reach
it's
out
just
to
a phone
us.
call because you have some questions, we can answer
Yeah,
questions
we'll
by
answer them.
phone. We can tell you who our agency is that we highly, highly recommend. They are fantastic, and they truly do support you. They will give you whatever you need to help you be successful.
And we will tell you the good, bad, and ugly.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, like
Because it's not all
we're
pretty.
pretty straightforward, so we will tell you how it is. But yeah, I mean,
Oh, that's great. Well, Howard, Courtney, thank you so much for just sharing your life with us and sharing your life with these other kids. It's just an amazing thing, and I look forward to see what God is going to do through this conversation. Yeah. So
Me
thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
very cool.